Thank you all for coming out today. Welcome to the Fort Mill History Museum. My name is Christia Humburg, and I'm the Executive Director. We appreciate you coming out today on this hot day in August. Today we are going to do, we're here for two reasons. We're going to have our annual ornament unveiling here in just a minute, but we're also wanting to dedicate in memory of Elizabeth Ford, our founder who passed away this year. So, but before we get started, I want to just show you our volunteers that know this well. We had our parking lot, our driveway fixed, and this is a big deal for us. So I want y'all all to ooh and ah over that. Thank you. This week, it's been going on for months, but we were able to work with Southeastern Tree and Coltharp. Coltharp provided our gravel. They have been great partners, and we really appreciate that. And they came out and worked on that, and were great to work with. So now it makes it a lot easier for our patrons to come in, our volunteers to come in. It's a lot better than people getting stuck on the hump and our volunteers having to push them out of the way. Yeah. So, all right, we are going to get started right now then, but wanted to start with our dedication in memory of Elizabeth Ford, who was our founder many years ago. And to talk about that is our the Fort Mill History Museum's board chair and longtime Fort Million, David Ward. So, thank you.
Yeah, I am a forever Fort Million, and I think I heard what Mary Sue was talking about, and I want to be Fort Mill dead one day too, but not today, right, Mary Sue? Not today. But I just want to thank you guys for being here, and I want to just talk about Elizabeth Ford, who she was instrumental in the backbone of getting this museum started. Not only did I know her, I lived beside her for many, many, many years, so I saw Elizabeth quite a bit. It was just, if you were privileged to get to know Elizabeth, she was just very dynamic and the one that really pushed a lot of this. The thing that I like, and if you look at the Elizabeth Ford Living Project, one of the things that she mentioned in there, and I wanted to repeat that, she was saying there was a question that was posed to her about what does she see this museum being in 5 years. And what she wanted to do was to make sure that, one, it doesn't just keep the heritage and the special sauce that we have around here that I know many of my fellow Fort Millions can testify to. It's not just that about making sure that people know what that is, but it's also to train those coming up. That's one of the things that she really wanted this to be, is a teaching place. And that's one of the things that I like. We've got people that are doing things that we've had with the school system and being able to get that, touch those younger generations. Because if you're not sure where you came from, you don't know where you're going a lot of times. So I just want to say that I am so thankful that there was Elizabeth Ford's, just like there was many others that have made this museum what it is today and where it's going to, and I just appreciate that. So I will ask Mr. Rudy Sanders if he would come up here. And, well, I think first we're going to do a poem, and then we're going to do the unveiling. Is that right? Yeah. Okay, so after that, you're going to bring Rudy up to do the unveiling? Okay. Thank y'all.
So recently, Charlotte Atkins brought this poem to me that Elizabeth had written, and she had sent it to several of her very close friends, and it's just a beautiful poem, and I just want to share that with you all today. This is written by Elizabeth in 2007. My hometown. A grist mill in our town many a year ago, and a fort that got started but never was to be. These were the parts of our long ago history that established our name, you see. A friendly little jewel in the south where everyone knew your name, made of farmers, merchants, and mill workers who were all treated the same. Everyone always had time to talk and share the latest news. The men sat on the bandstand and openly shared their views. Because of a man named Springs and his family who built the mill, we had bowling, swimming, golf, and other fun things to do at will. It was a safe little town where the children could walk to enjoy friends and fun. We also had a movie theater where the latest hits would run. The Woman's Club gave us many a special football Friday night, and dancing to stay on those old pine floors was a very memorable delight. My hometown was built by special folks who believed in God, family, and the USA. Our churches and schools taught us values. Thank you, dear Fort Mill, for preparing my way. Elizabeth Ford, 2007. And here is Rudy Sanders to do the unveiling.
Yes, and before Rudy comes up, I want to thank folks, because like everything else, it always takes those that do stuff behind the scenes. I want to thank Carol Dixon, Rudy, Tommy Merritt for basically taking and doing what we've done here with these rocking chairs, the table. And if Rudy would come, I'd like for him to make the official unveiling of our sign in honor of Elizabeth Ervin Ford. So Rudy, could you come?
Carol, come on. And Rudy did the artwork.
Beautiful. Come up.
I can't reach up there.
And I want to thank each of you for attending this. And I'm looking at the volunteers, the people that actually makes the Fort Mill History Museum. When Elizabeth Elizabeth is a visionary. When she first started on this here, pulling people together, let's at that time, it was the Fort Mill Historical Society. Am I correct? Preservation Committee. I'm sorry. The Fort Mill Historical Preservation Committee. And we were under the arms of Move Fort Mill Forward. But we had a mission. And then that mission was to research and gather pertinent information about the history of this town. During, I would say, 2010 and 2011, before we had the Fort Mill History Museum, we were taking history into the classes, the schools of the Fort Mill school system. And then given this history, we would gather in the media room and then on a PowerPoint presentation and also pull out relics of the history. But we knew that later, with so many local people coming in and then saying, you know, I got this, we'd like to donate this to the preservation committee. And so we were taking on items, and we knew that this was leading to the opening of a Fort Mill History Museum. And then it is because of you and your dedication and your and you embracing this history that makes this museum so unique. And we have not strayed from it, that we are the local Fort Mill History Museum. Carol?
Elizabeth and I always talked about sitting on the front porch, but we also sat on her back porch when we were doing a lot of the meetings and talking and things like that. So we wanted this on the back porch of the museum. This chair to the right of me is dedicated to Elizabeth. The other chair is dedicated to all the other volunteers who helped her get it started. And for everybody that's ever worked with the museum or volunteered. And we're always looking for new volunteers. So if some of you have not volunteered, let us know.
Drum roll. And I want to stand on this side with you. And this is the location. On the count of 3, backwards. 3, 2, 1. The Elizabeth Ervin Ford, Fort Mill History Museum founder.
By artist Rudy.
And now I will turn it back over to Christia, who will be taking care of our next unveiling.
I know you're hot. Hang in there. Let's see. Okay, now I just want to just to say a little bit about our next speaker. And his name is Bayles Mack. He needs no introduction, but I'm going to give him one anyway. Bayles Mack has practiced in his hometown of Fort Mill since 1960, when he joined his father to form Mack and Mack Attorneys. His emphasis was on real estate law with a specialty in eminent domain, where he assists clients in condemnation proceedings. Bayles also handles business law. Bayles served as attorney for the town of Fort Mill from 1969 through 2014, when his son Barry took over the post. Bayles also served 4 separate terms as commissioner of the State Highway Commission, now known as the South Carolina Department of Transportation, from 1979 to 2004. Bayles is a proud grandfather to 7 grandchildren. Bayles enjoys spending his spare time in North Myrtle Beach, where he is a member of the Myrtle Beach Living Legends and South Carolina Shaggers Hall of Fame. So, please welcome Bayles Mack.
Thank you. Thank you. I had not planned to.
Let's unveil.
Oh, are we going to unveil it first? I want to step back one moment, if I could, and say something about Elizabeth Ford. You folks and the folks that here have made the History Museum, and I wish I had participated more, but because it's so valuable, and this History Museum is what I always tell people when they talk to me about history and they don't want to hear about it. I always tell them that history tells you what not to do. It shows you the direction, and that's exactly what this organization is doing today for the town of Fort Mill and for this area, and I applaud you. With that said, when Carol first mentioned to me about this, I said, well, I'm certainly honored, and I know my mother, Elizabeth Mills Mack, would be honored, because I had named a train for her, and the Colonel Springs, she worked for Colonel Springs, and as a small boy, I used to go to that train that he had as an office up on 21, and I played out in the sand, or in the weeds, but he was a real gentleman, and he would always come and talk to me, and I treasure that time. And I can tell you that it was a lark for me, but my family, my grandfather was a New York lawyer. He was a Fort Mill boy, went to New York and was a publisher and a lawyer, and made the wealth for the family. I come from a bunch of Presbyterian ministers. My great-grandfather was a Unity Presbyterian Church pastor in the 1870s. And so, they didn't have any money. So they got it all from the big lawyers from New York, But in any event, he helped motivate and build the family to where they could do a lot of things, and I appreciate the fact that I had the opportunity to go once a month to visit him on the train from Fort Mill, South Carolina, from that passenger depot up to New York, where he'd pick us up, and we would go and stay a week, and we would take one of his siblings with us. I didn't know that's what we were doing at that time, but my father and mother would take one of his brothers or sisters with us from here, and there was 8 of them, and so he would get to visit with them for a while. But I fell in love with the train. My father had already before me, and in high school he would call me and say, "You got any of your buddies you want to go to Pineville on the train?" And I'd come down and he'd buy us a ticket. I think it was a dime. And we'd go to Pineville and get out in Pineville. 31 would go up, and 32 would come back, 30 minutes apart. So we'd get up there and wait 30 minutes and come back. And so the train cars have been important to this town. the main line of the Southern going through a small town like this, the difference in, you can tell the difference now. I know not many people think about the trains today because it's freight, not passenger here, but one of the things I wanted to do while I was highway commissioner was get Amtrak coming through Fort Mill. But maybe one day we'll get it. But in any event, so go to Columbia. I would connect to Raleigh and Columbia, the two state capitals. And I thought that would be a good thing. But you gotta walk, crawl before you can walk, and maybe that will come in the next century. Anyway. The only thing that I would say is that I know my mother's proud of it. It was a lark for me. I went to, I was fortunate to go to Washington Lee Law School and play some baseball. Len will know about that. I was an old journeyman and played in West Virginia. I used to see C&O rail cars parked on the sidings in places like the Greenbrier and in Charleston, West Virginia, and places like that. And I always wondered, what in the world they're not using them? Something's wrong here, you know. Well, when I got ready to do that, I thought I wanted to have a train like the Colonel's, and I wanted to put it on the rail like the Colonel. I found out that I was too poor to be able to do that because it cost too much. But at least we got a symbol, and the town was gracious enough to allow me to put it in that spot. And as the card would say, that's the spot that it should have been in to start with. I didn't know it, but the town decided that for me. So when I did this, I called Ann Close, and I called her up and I said, Ann, I don't want to be presumptuous, and I'm not rich enough to want to do this. I'm not like you folks, but I said I wanted to do something and name it for my mother, a car, and I'll find them and I'll get them and I'll buy them. And she said, I don't know whether she was crying or not. I never saw her cry, so I don't know. But it sounded a little bit like she was. And she said, oh, why would you worry about that? We're just so happy to do it. Maybe it'll bring back the memories to people of Fort Mill of my father. And, you know, how gracious, you know. And and we proceeded to do it. And the Lancaster Chester Railroad really did the upfit and did everything for me. And because I found the cars, bought them, left one with them, and they were going to upfit my other one, and we finally got that done. Took a long time, but we had L Close to cut the ribbon, and he wore his daddy's Persian print jacket. That was in the Herald. And I still have that, all of that, and that meant a lot to me because my mother worked for him during the Persian print time, and in the 40s and 50s, and I'm just so happy that y'all decided that it would be good to. And Carol, I thank you for everything because she put it together. All I did was just try to furnish the information, so, and I hope that the people of Fort Mill will appreciate it like us historians do, y'all included, and that it will be good. Anything that I can do to help motivate people to be in the History Museum, I want to do it. And I see David talks to me all the time. I got a bunch of stuff, bicycles and old bicycles and some stuff that I got out of JB's in my mama's store. So I would like someday to have that on display somewhere. Of course, you don't have room really, but you folks have done a heck of a job in keeping it going. And I will promise you that I will be supportive the rest of my life for him. Mary Sue is already, and she's the elder person of it, but I'm close. And
You want to unveil it now?
yes, ma'am.
All right. Y'all want to do a countdown?
Yep.
You want me to do it?
Yeah, you want to? Wait, let's do a countdown. So, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thank you so much. Thank you. So yes, this is the train car. It is it's a beautiful ornament. It's one of our prettier ones. We're very proud of it. I want to say Carol Dixon did everything about it. What we do is she takes the picture, and then we work with an artist out of Virginia, and then the company produces that. It's a beautiful piece. We are going to have that on sale here inside the museum. And it comes with, we started this last year, we do a history card with it. So we wanted to make sure that you had the history. And so we're going to be doing that going forward. So please, makes a great gift. And if you don't know what to get that person, it's beautiful. We also have some lemonade and cookies inside. So please just come on inside and enjoy. Thank you so much for coming out today.